and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to work the interlocking puff crochet stitch. You can find the free written pattern instructions on my blog. This stitch is a 1-row repeat, so it is reversible. Both sides are just as lovely. This stitch looks great in solid colors, in self-striping yarn, and in alternating rows of contrasting yarn. So this stitch is worked in multiples of 2 for your foundation chain. I'm going to go ahead and start out with a chain of 34. I'm going to be working a row of single crochets as a foundation for this stitch. That's not entirely necessary. You could go ahead and start working your stitch pattern right into your foundation chain if you wish to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and start out with a row of single crochets, starting with a single crochet in my second chain from the hook and then in each chain across. So at the end of row 1, my row of single crochets, I'm going to turn for row 2 and then chain 1. Now I'm going to be working an extended single crochet puff in the same stitch. Extended single crochet puff is worked as 2 unfinished extended single crochets and then completing it with a puff. So I'm going to be inserting my hook. I'm going to be working that puff stitch in the same stitch as my turning chain 1. So at the base of that chain 1, I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first loop. That's going to leave 2 loops on my hook, and I have an unfinished extended single crochet in that stitch. I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first loop. That's going to leave 3 loops on my hook. I've worked 2 unfinished extended single crochets, and now I'm going to finish with the puff portion of this stitch. So now I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a tall loop. I want that loop to be the height of my stitch, and then I'm going to repeat that, yarning over, inserting my hook into that same stitch, yarning over and pulling up another tall loop. So you're going to have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook, and then you're going to chain 1 to close your stitch. And you've worked your first extended single crochet puff stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch and work another extended single crochet puff in the next stitch the same way. Inserting our hook, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 1, inserting our hook, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 1, yarning over, inserting our hook, yarning over, pulling up a tall loop, yarning over, inserting our hook into the same stitch, yarning over, pulling up another tall loop, yarning over and pulling through all the loops on your hook, and then chaining 1 to complete the stitch. Then you're just going to be repeating those same steps, skipping the next stitch, extended single crochet puff in the next, and repeating that all the way down this row to the end. So when you get to the end of your row, you're going to skip the next stitch and work an extended single crochet puff in your last stitch to complete that row. And then chain 1 to close your stitch. We're going to turn for row 3 this is our repeat row. We're going to chain 1 to begin, and we're going to work an extended single crochet puff in the next chain 1 space. So in that chain 1 space between the puffs that we worked, so if you pull your, take my hook out here, if you pull your puffs apart, you can see this space right here between the puffs, and we're going to be working our puff stitch in that chain 1 space. So inserting our hook into that space and working our puff stitch there. And then chaining 1 to close the stitch. And then we're going to be working our extended single crochet puff in every chain space between our puff stitches. And repeating that on down the row, working our extended single crochet puff in that chain space. And continue repeating that all the way down your row. Once we get to the end of that row, I'm going to have one more puff stitch to work, and that last puff of the row is going to be worked in the turning chain 1 from the previous row. So in this chain 1 here, so those loops, I'm going to be working my last puff stitch. So just in the same way, completing the last puff by chaining 1. So we're just going to be repeating row 3 to the size desired in your pattern. So you're just going to be chaining 1 at the beginning and then working a puff stitch in each chain 1 space between the puffs all the way down the row, and then working your last puff in that chain 1 turning chain from the previous row. So that is so easy. We're just going to be repeating rows until you reach the size desired in your pattern. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss a new video. Check out nanascraftyhome.com for lots of additional free crochet patterns and tutorials. Thanks everyone. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.